also at risk. But first, here's my take. In a conversation with a friend, originally from Pakistan, I lamented that country's recent decision to give its head of army expanded powers, including lifetime immunity from legal prosecution. My friend replied, "We're just following in America's footsteps. Didn't your Supreme Court rule that the president could kill his political opponent and yet be immune from prosecution?" Welcome to America's new democratic export, the unchecked executive. If America's founding fathers were to come back and look at their legacy, what would stun them, without a doubt, is the modern presidency. They designed the American political system explicitly to fragment power. They were reacting against a monarch and the accumulation of all powers in the same hands. That's a quote from Federalist 47. They purposefully conceived of a decentralized and restrained executive, described in the notably brief Article 2, the presidency faithfully executing the laws, bounded by carefully constructed checks from the legislature and the judiciary. Congress, by contrast, was named the first branch of government and vested with the lion's share of authority, the powers to tax, spend, declare war, and regulate commerce. James Madison, the de facto author of the Constitution, explicitly acknowledged this fact in Federalist 51, writing that in Republican government, the legislative necessarily predominates. Even Alexander Hamilton, often thought to have urged an imperial presidency, in fact believed strongly that the president had few monarchical powers. In Federalist 69, he contrasts the British king with the American president, saying the latter is elected for merely a 4-year term and is amended. Yet by the 1960s, this finely tuned mechanism had clearly seized up. Wars, economic crises, and the media's tendency to nationalize and centralize attention created a one-way ratchet for ever-increasing unchecked presidential power. This dramatic imbalance culminated in the constitutional crises of the Vietnam War and Watergate, and in the 1970s, Congress, finally energized by bipartisan outrage, passed a series of laws designed to rein in executive excess. For example, the Inspector General Act of 1978 created a cadre of internal watchdogs to root out waste and fraud in departments premised on the understanding that they would be protected from political retaliation. The whole set of restraints didn't work. While Congress established the legal mechanisms for control, for example, regarding war powers, it lacked the collective political will to hold the president to them. Furthermore, after 9/11, war on terror resolutions effectively nullified these restraints, all but giving presidents carte blanche for the use of military force. Beyond laws, after Nixon, both parties had agreed to a set of powerful norms. For example, firewalling the Justice Department from the White House. One principle established that the president should not direct the attorney general to investigate or prosecute specific individuals. Additionally, presidents voluntarily released their tax returns and placed assets in blind trusts, financial transparency designed to assure the public that the commander-in-chief was not profiting from the office. The Trump administration has shredded these constraints. Even worse, regulations have been sanctified by the Supreme Court, based on the bizarre unitary executive theory. This once fringe legal doctrine asserts that a terse phrase in Article 2 somehow grants the president unrestricted authority over the executive branch, even though Congress has been explicitly given the power of the purse and can use it to create agencies and departments, determine their structure and functions, and direct where its funds be spent. The president has virtually unlimited powers under this interpretation to run those agencies even when he violates specific congressional intent. This expansion of executive power has culminated in the court's 2024 decision in Trump v. United States, in which the court held that the presidents enjoy absolute immunity for actions within their core constitutional powers and presumptive immunity at a minimum for all other official acts. In a blistering dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor noted that under this standard, a president could arguably order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival and be shielded from criminal liability, provided the order was given through official channels. The American presidency has journeyed from a modest, constitutionally constrained office to a super presidency that commands total attention and power. Donald Trump has pushed these powers to the utmost, but he has been enabled by a failure of political courage in Congress and an ideological Supreme Court that seems to have lost any respect for original intent and precedent. The result is a structural asymmetry where the first branch of government is now the weakest, and the Supreme Court is a rubber stamp. The court does have a chance to stop this accumulation of power by asserting what they plainly know is true, that the president can't just declare national emergencies at will to place and remove tariffs unilaterally. If not, the American presidency will become for the world not an example of limited constitutional government, but rather of a modern dictatorship, wielding far more unbridled power than George III did when the founding fathers rebelled against him 250 years ago. Go to fareedzakaria.com for a link to my Washington Post column this week. Coming up on GPS, we'll dig into different aspects of democracy in America and around the world, starting with the revolutionary idea that began an actual revolution, that men are endowed with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Fareed Zakaria GPS, brought to you by Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
So how are you feeling about your current money manager?
Well, I feel like we've outgrown them.
Well, she's right. Our lives have changed and we need more than just mutual funds to help us in retirement.
I understand. At Fisher Investments, we get to know you, your goals, lifestyle, and needs, and then tailor a portfolio just for you.
That's good to hear. Can you help with estate planning?
Yes, and we can also help you with Social Security, investment income, tax-efficient strategies, and more.
Wow.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
From creating memories to finding the perfect gift, Steel can help make the holidays even easier. Check off more of your wish list when you get an extra battery with select Steel battery sets. Happy holidays from Steel.
I have active psoriatic arthritis, but with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready for this moment. Along with clearer skin, Skyrizi helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And it's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
I like things personalized, like my coffee. So when my doctor prescribed Vyvgart Hytrulo self-injection for my generalized myasthenia gravis, we personalized my treatment goals.
Vyvgart Hytrulo can improve daily abilities and reduce muscle weakness.
It's my treatment, my way.
Vyvgart Hytrulo for Weekend Away Steve.
It's travel ready and can go where I go.
Self-injection fits my plans. Do not use Vyvgart Hytrulo if you're allergic to its ingredients. It may increase infection risk and cause serious allergic or infusion or injection-related reactions. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, fever, recent or planned vaccinations, allergy history, or kidney problems. Most common side effects include respiratory and urinary tract infections, headache, and injection site reactions.
My Vyvgart Hytrulo self-injection.
Reducing my symptoms. That's treatment? My way.
Ask your neurologist about Vyvgart Hytrulo.
Don't let congestion take over. Afrinodrin. Wow, ridiculously fast nasal congestion relief. The wow is real.
And now try new drug-free Afrin Saline.
I'm so excited to share my 2025 holiday collection designed especially for mature women. My Tuscan Dreams palette includes 6 eyeshadows, a bronzer, a blush, and a highlighter. Shop the holiday collection at laurageller.com.
Tired of struggling with impossible messes in your tub and shower? Mr. Clean Foaming Bath Magic Eraser cuts through 100% of soap, scum, and grime, while Mr. Clean Extra Durable effortlessly tackles messes throughout your home. Switch to Mr. Clean Magic Eraser.
When you've got a classic ride, you need tools you trust. Whether you drive it every day or only take it out on the biggest night of the year, count on Harbor Freight. Black Friday deals up to 70% off happening now.
You can get this fixed now and pay later. You can get this fixed now and pay later. And this. Get it fixed now and pay later in 4 interest-free payments at SafeLight.com.
Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
You'll love this for you. It's the Sleep Number Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with 50% off luxurious cooling comfort that adjusts to you through all of life's changes. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Flu keeping you
I
out?
got this. I don't got this.
You need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Knock out your flu symptoms with NyQuil Intense Flu. You do got this. NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever, best sleep with the flu medicine.
Closed captioning brought to you by Cardia Mobile, makers of the #1 doctor-recommended personal EKG.
Check your heart from anywhere and detect atrial fibrillation with Cardia Mobile, the #1 doctor-recommended personal EKG. On sale now at cardia.com or Amazon.
America is a deeply divided country. Polls show that Democrats and Republicans not only disagree on policy, they each believe that they are operating with a different set of basic facts. It is in this political climate that the United States will celebrate its 250th birthday next year. In honor of this milestone, the historian and biographer Walter Isaacson has written a book about the most famous sentence from the Declaration of Independence. As a reminder, it reads, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." The book is called The Greatest Sentence Ever Written. Welcome, Walter. I just said the sentence, so what more is there for us to discuss?
Well, let's look at the edits of it. It's wonderful that the first draft, those of you and I were both writers and editors, is in the basement of the Library of Congress. And Jefferson starts it with, "We hold these truths to be sacred." And there's Benjamin Franklin's black backslashes of a print putting in self-evident, because he had just come back from visiting David Hume, who talked about self-evident truths of logic, saying, okay, our rights come not from the dogma of religion, but from reason. Then the sentence goes on, they're endowed with rights.
That itself is fascinating, because so many people think of this as being divinely granted, and they're almost saying no. It's
almost saying no, but the sentence goes on to say they're endowed by, and it's John Adams' rights, their creator with rights. And so you see, just in the editing of a half of a sentence, them doing the balance, the evidence, the role of rationality in creating the nation, but not making it totally based on religious beliefs.
To you, what was the attraction of looking at?
Well, you said it's our 250th, and as you certainly know, and you've written about the rise of populism not too long ago, we're in no mood to celebrate a birthday party. We're very divided. It's like Thanksgiving or whatever. We have to all come together. Well, I figured, how could we do what we did in 1976, when after Watergate, Vietnam, and the riots, we had a bicentennial? Well, maybe if we all reflect on the mission statement of our country, which most of us can subscribe to as an aspirational thing, not something we've achieved or they achieved, but we have to keep achieving, then maybe some of the poison in our politics could be sapped out. When you look at how they did the Declaration, you have all sorts of people with different perspectives. Some who are slave owners, some who are abolitionists. And yet they come together to say this is a mission statement that can live and breathe. When Jefferson takes Locke's idea of life, liberty, estates, and property and turns it into life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it's a breathing phrase that sets the stage for the American dream. So I think we can all
talk
embrace
about that
it.
for a minute, because that's so interesting. You're right. So John Locke says life, liberty, and property, and then Jefferson in the Virginia statute says property, right?
Well, George Mason does most of the writing of the Virginia statute, but you're absolutely right. It says property.
It says property and happiness, or just property?
It says estates and property.
And property.
Right.
So do we know what Jefferson was thinking when he enlarged that
pursuit
phrase?
of happiness wasn't just, okay, let's have fun and parties. It was a pursuit of your own fulfillment. And he had read, Voltaire, Rousseau's De Social Contract. And I think he's trying to say each new generation has got to figure out its own pursuit of what will fulfill it. And for most of our history, we've been able to have each new generation do better than the last. Nowadays, that's in jeopardy. That's the American dream in jeopardy. But that too was part of what Jefferson was pledging us to try to pursue.
You say in the book that, that phrase, the pursuit of happiness, really has been the most, in some ways, resonant phrase, and the one that each generation has tried to fulfill. And you call it the American dream, but you point out, it was written at the start of the Great Depression, and it didn't purely mean material.
Right, you mean James Truslow Adams coins the phrase the American dream in the 1930s, and he says it's not just a dream of motor cars and fine houses. It's a dream of each person having the ability to serve their community, serve their own family, and serve their country, which was a Ben Franklin idea.
And get sort of dignity from it, as I
Each
recall. It was
person
something
having
like
dignity.
that.
And you and I have had discussions, almost disagreements, about the fact that globalization sort of sapped the chance for each individual, each factory worker to have dignity. However, we resolve this notion of having a secure middle class. We have to make sure each person has dignity and the possibility that their children have a better lives.
So the sentence, the most famous line is all men are created equal. It most definitely did not include slaves, and Jefferson owned lots of slaves. What described that tension? Was it felt at the time?
Totally felt at the time. And imagine that room, in the room of Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson, but also Robert Hemings, 19 years old, an enslaved valet who's traveling with Jefferson, whose younger sister will end up becoming Jefferson's mistress and having children by. So all those contradictions are there. And Jefferson's writing things about the abhorrence of the slave trade that's in the first draft of the Declaration that others take out. So they knew very well this was an aspirational document, but they were leaving us a bundle of contradictions that each new generation would have to resolve.
So it feels to me, it's so interesting that you chose this as the most important sentence ever written, because the only competitor to it, I would say, is the opening line of the Gettysburg Address, which of course refers back to it, right? Because it says, 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. So it is a referring back to the Declaration of Independence and to that line.
Absolutely. And what they're doing that day is they're burying consecrating the cemetery where more than 1,000 people had died because they were trying to make that sentence more true. That sentence, when written by Jefferson, did not include enslaved people, but that's what the Battle of Gettysburg was about. So when Lincoln harkens back to it, it's not like, okay, we got this right in 1776. It's like we still have to fight and even bury our dead to remember the importance of what this sentence is telling us to do.
Walter Isaacson, always a pleasure.
Reed, thank you.
Next on GPS, I'll talk to Ken Burns about his new PBS series on the American Revolution. What lessons does it hold for us today?
CNN Heroes, an all-star tribute. Meet and celebrate the honorees and find out who will be Hero of the Year. CNN Heroes, an all-star tribute. Saturday at 8 on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
You've got a Pepto